could, will, and does have massive implications for football as we know it, both NFL and college. The Browns are waiving tight end Dae'Quan Wright. And if he clears waivers, he has an agreement in place to go play for LSU this season. He is now on the verge of becoming the first, but he won't be the last player to go from an NFL team to then returning to play college football. It's worth noting, you see him there in an Ole Miss uniform. He played for Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin now at LSU. That's where he has the agreement in place to go. Let me bring Paul Finebaum into this conversation here, and we have our entire group ready to talk about it. Paul, we talked about this last week when this story first started gaining a lot of attention. Our Pete Thamel has been doing a great job reporting on it, and we're hearing it left and right. And now something that seemed theoretical appears, Paul, to be upon us. I'm curious, two things: your reaction and the reaction that you're hearing from all of your callers and all of those football fans in the SEC to what feels like it's going to be the beginning of something enormous.
College football has officially plunged into the abyss, Greeny. We have never been at a place like this before. There have been scandals far more serious, but this is a new low in terms of the machinations of the legal system, the NCAA, and all these things. It's just incomprehensible to think that someone was on an NFL roster the other day and he very well could be playing for LSU a week from this Saturday. But it's the way things are right now, and the one thing that I think everybody is waiting for, callers are outraged, fans are outraged across the board. What can, if anything, the Southeastern Conference do about it? There has not been a puff of smoke from the headquarters building in downtown Birmingham. Something will be said at some point. There is a president's meeting at some point today or tomorrow, and I think that the league would like to speak as a group, with the exception of LSU, which has always been a bit of a renegade, and that will be eagerly anticipated. But until then, Greeny, it's just chaos.
So here's a question that Orlovsky brought up in our first hour, and I'd be interested to hear your perspective. He said, does this, or can there ever be a situation where the fans start to lose interest or become turned away from it? And both Domonique and I sort of immediately responded, the moment the ball is kicked off in that first game, I don't personally think the fans are going to be thinking about that. They're going to be thinking, throw the ball to Dae'Quan. He's probably our best player now. What is your sense of whether this will actually impact fans once the season begins?
No. As long as a game is scheduled, it is on television, and there is a betting line, fans will not care about anything else. And Greeny, the same LSU fans who were screaming bloody murder about somebody else's program, remember the kid from the D-League going to play for Alabama, Bediako, they all hated that, but now they love it. It's just fandom at every level. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. And as many of us who want to scream, get off my lawn, we're still going to be watching when LSU plays Clemson a week from Saturday night.
Yeah, that seems about right. Let me just get the quick takes here of someone who covers the National Football League and guys who played both at the collegiate and the pro level. And Nick, I'll start with you because your background in this, I think, is so particularly interesting based on having been the president of the NFL Players Association as you were. What is your take? Because this will not be the only player who will go this route.
I think this just speaks to the NCAA and the conferences and the league or the college presidents, their reluctance to acknowledge that this is a business. The sooner they acknowledge that this is a business and that the players are employees, in which case the employees can unionize, then they'll be protected. Then they can have a collective bargaining agreement where they can put in some hard and fast rules so there won't be these new challenges that break the system don't break the system, distort the system every couple of years. And there'll come a point where people will actually play NFL games and then choose potentially to go back. So this just comes down to that.
Can I ask you a question that I'm sure a lot of the people watching and listening to this conversation are asking, which is, didn't they already cross that Rubicon? The players are now getting paid, not just for their name, image, and likeness. They're actually getting paid a salary. What is the distinction between that and a professional?
It's acknowledging that the players can organize as a labor union, and then you can negotiate with them.
That's the only difference, is what you're saying.
Impart those rules. No, then you get the schools then become responsible for workers' compensation. it's a lot more responsibility to be an employer than it is to be a college. So it does make things a little bit more difficult in some ways for them. But I think to have the game that they want, it's going to ultimately make things easier. That's where we're going to end up. And they've been dragging their feet and trying to hold on to the old system as long as possible. But at some point, it's going to be undeniable because the floodgates are going to open and no court seems to be willing to rule in their favor.
Yeah, I look at it from the NFL side. Like our NFL teams, if this is going to be the start of something, our NFL team's going to have to put language in rookie contracts that covers them in case somebody starts playing games for them and decides they want to go back to college. Or is it going to affect whether you draft a guy wondering if maybe he might get a better offer from LSU or somebody in a couple of months? So this will be discussed in league offices and owners' meetings, especially if it is the start of something, which it seems like it probably is.
Also, is a player maybe more likely to leave school earlier now?
Yeah.
Because there's also the built-in parachute, or now there's a built-in parachute of, hey, let's say he has a redshirt sophomore season that's really good. Strike while the iron's hot, get drafted into the NFL, be as high of a draft pick as you can, and if it doesn't work out, I can go back and have years of eligibility. Whether the NIL money would be more to stay or not, that's to be determined. It seems like it's pretty good.
It's interesting that this stuff is going to start impacting the NFL because they'll get involved. Because prior to now, it hasn't impacted them. Now it's going to start impacting these teams, and the NFL will probably get involved behind the scenes in some way
Todd Monken said that the other day that Lane Kiffin had called him, had given him a call. He said he didn't call him back. Now I realize what he was calling me about. The other thing from last week, and I want to give Paul the final word here, that Pete Thamel said was that he had heard from one Power 4 conference athletic director that his coaches were in offices cutting up NFL preseason games, like literally watching NFL preseason games, trying to find players on rosters that might fit the definition of still having college eligibility. So now the colleges are scouting the pros rather than the pros scouting the colleges. If you were wondering if there's ever going to be a time where the tail actually wagged the dog, it actually seems to have arrived. Paul, give us a final word for today on this. It certainly won't be the last day.
I mean, I pity that poor college coach who actually has to watch the end of a preseason NFL game. But I think we're going to get some statements today, and I hate that as much as you do, Greeny. But as you guys were talking, I couldn't help but think of the former president of the NCAA about 11 years ago saying that college players will get paid over my dead body. That's where it all began. They were so arrogant. They were so ruthless and corrupt in the way they ran the system that payback is coming 1,000 times fold right now.
Well, you couldn't have said it better. I've been saying it for years. If they had been willing to make reasonable concessions at the time when they were completely unreasonable, they never would have wound up at the Supreme Court, and we never would have wound up where we are now.
Try to knock me off my feet, still standing with more money than I came with. Damn, took a loss, but I'm still